Hello, podcast listeners. This is another episode with JJ, your host with the most, and Tucker. We're going to talk about everything from Return of Jafar on VHS all the way to robotic hamburger flippers. Sit back, enjoy this episode of JJ Meets World. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirled as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called J.J. Meets World.
Welcome to the podcast, listeners. And I got to tell you right off the bat, last week when we put out our sample episodes of Reviewed, I was not expecting the feedback and the amount of feedback that I got from people. So it sounds like you guys enjoyed it, but you were mad that I was giving you 2 episodes of Reviewed that now they'll be out there and you'll be like, now I got 2 weeks where I'm not going to get an episode because I've already heard them. And it made me think about something. We're so lucky just in the world that the worst thing that can happen to you is that you discover something new and you're just going to have to take a break because you already got to do it before other people did.
Yeah, I mean, I do suffer from once binging a show became even a possibility, because before that was ever a possibility, basically you needed for the show to be totally done and off the air so that all the DVD box sets were out. And then you could maybe binge it, but you're still dealing with a lot of, space you got to take up. But now binging things are so simple. I binged my favorite TV show of all time, The Sopranos, the first time I watched it. And so I miss being able to do that with the Disney Plus shows that drop only once a week. And I get kind of mad that I can't just devote 2 days to just watching the whole thing. It's just that I want it now, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, since you brought up The Sopranos, let's talk about what we did when The Sopranos finale aired. Do you remember this? Do you remember what happened to us?
I couldn't be there in time for the actual broadcast of it, but you were TiVoing it,
right?
And I can't remember what was going on. By the time I was available to come over, you and everyone who had watched it were heading out to go somewhere. So you said, hey, you can just come by here and just play it off the TiVo. So I did, and I thought that you had somehow stopped recording it or something, which was why it went to 10 seconds of black at the very end. And I called you all pissed, like, JJ, what the fuck, man?
And in fact, you know what? That whole last season of Sopranos, you and I had some messed up stuff that happened during it. So,
really? I'm trying to remember now.
So not only did you think that I had just completely, totally, rammed you over on the finale, which I love that story, by the way. The fact that you think I was smart enough to stop my DVR in such an intricate spot.
Well, it made no sense to me. I was like, I don't understand. Why did it cut to black?
In the third to last episode, you and I were working a Sunday at the Fargo Theater. And do you remember this random woman shows up? And she's like, hey, I'm taking a train across America. This is the only place open downtown. What's going on? And so we kind of talked to her for a little bit. And she had been in Washington or Oregon working on a movie about a person who was killed while they were having sex with a horse, which is based off a true story, which I had just read the USA Today story about that thing not too long ago, and knew that they were making a movie. So I thought, well, that's kind of weird that this woman just randomly shows up. And it wasn't something nefarious. They were doing kind of this this movie about like the horrors that this family deals with after a loved one dies in such a tragic and very national newsy way. And then so I remember her being like, well, I'm here until like 2:00 in the morning. And we were like, well, we're going to watch The Sopranos. You want to come with? She said, sure. So we went over to my mom's house, ordered pizza, watched The Sopranos, and then dropped her off back downtown.
Yep.
And I feel
I
like
totally forgot about that. I'm trying to remember what her name was now. I do remember she had made a short film that had been submitted to the Fargo Film Festival. I believe it was called The Breakup Bunny. And the whole premise of the short film was that there was like a telegram service you could hire of people who would break up for you.
Oh.
And so you would get like, you know, buzzer at the door and it's someone in a nerd costume with balloons and they sing a little telegram and then they dump you for, you know, instead of your significant other having to be there to do it. But yeah, I totally had forgotten about her. She seemed cool, but she was, you know, just sort of, hey, you guys are my friends for the day. We were like, oh, all right, want to watch Sopranos?
I feel like there was something else that happened too, like something weird. There was another one that was weird. I think maybe with the season premiere that year too. Maybe my memory will jog during this thing, but it just isn't it interesting how there's certain things that just have like memories associated with them. So, for example, the finale of The Sopranos. Every time I think of it, I will think of you calling me. And it has, you know, really nothing to do with the plot line of the show. It just has to do with the fact that like we have this great little friendship and we share things like that.
Yeah. Just imagine that being the situation I was in, though. It's like to see this show, for me to be able to see this show, I had to schedule a time to go over to my friend's house in the hopes that he DVR'd it and I'll be able to watch it in the dark, like well after everyone else has left.
Well, we're talking about an era too where, you know, it wasn't instantly streamable afterwards, right? Like like you had to actually watch a broadcast show when it was airing or someone who had saved it because you couldn't hop onto iTunes and just automatically get it. I just helped Tucker move into a new place since the last time we met together. And I also this last weekend helped my sister move into a new home. And so a lot of moving has happened in my life lately. And I thought of something that I think is kind of important, which is we love things that are inexplicable to other people. And the amount of care we have in certain items shouldn't be judged by other people because if it, you know, if, like Marie Kondo says, if it brings you joy, that's what you should be excited about.
Are you talking about my VHS tapes?
I am with you. I specifically am because here's the thing about you, Tucker. You don't have just one copy of Return of Jafar.
I have 5.
You have so many. And I thought to myself, is there a grocery store somewhere that had been abandoned and you just happened to walk in and find those? Or did you buy them separately? And also, what's the point of having 5 copies of Return of Jafar?
So my goal with those is not that I'm trying to corner the market in copies of VHS of Return of Jafar. I'm trying to get like the highest quality case of it for like my archive collection, like my favorite stuff, right? So I'm only actually intending to keep one, but I've picked up a couple in the hopes that when I compare them to the others, like I can find a tape that's in better condition or find the tape that's in the best condition and pair it with a case that's in really good condition because they've been sort of hit or miss. And that movie in particular is one that I've watched that movie so many times as a kid. I was really obsessed with like the Aladdin trilogy for a period of time. And so for some reason, seeing those clamshells sparks joy in me in the Marie Kondo way. But the ultimate goal is not to keep all of them. There are a few titles that I collect that I would like to get multiple copies of because I think it would look great to see them like just on against the wall, because most of the VHS collection that I have, I've actually just built a shelf for all of it. And it's mostly actually for like a decor of one entire wall of just showcasing movies and things that I care about, but not necessarily these are things that I'm constantly pulling off the shelf and watching. Right.
So am I correct then in thinking that when you got your first copy of Return of Jafar, you were like, great, this is awesome, I'm going to put it on my shelf. And then another time you're out shopping, you're like, ooh, this case actually looks like it might be better than the last case I had.
Yeah. And we're talking about items that at most are charged a quarter for them. So these aren't things that I'm like dropping.
Right. But you've had the same feeling 4 times of this case is a higher quality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Return of Jafar was a big deal because it was one of the biggest Disney movies to get like Aladdin, to get a sequel that goes directly to video. They had been doing direct to video stuff for a while, but this one was just massive. And I think one of the reasons they went direct to video with this is they couldn't get Robin Williams to return as Genie.
Right. So they had to go with Dan Castellaneta.
Yeah. Who does the voice of Homer Simpson. And I think because they were going straight to VHS, they didn't put the same amount of effort into it. So like they don't get Alan Menken. I think Howard Shore was sick had died maybe at the time, but they didn't get that team. In fact,
it's not the same quality of the Aladdin film.
Right. No, in fact, Randy Peterson and Kevin Quinn do the music and lyrics to songs like You're Only Second Rate, which is a song that Jafar, who, as we remember, is a genie now, sings to Genie in this. And, I don't know, have you watched that movie recently, Tucker?
No, it's one of the ones I'm going to be watching once I've finished hooking up all my electronics and stuff.
Well, then let me just read you the lyrics then. Okay. So this is You're Only Second Rate. And Jafar is singing this to Genie. I must admit, your parlor tricks are amusing. I bet you've got a bunny under your hat. Now here's your chance to get the best of me. Hope your hand is hot. Come on, clown. Let's see what you've got. You can try to slam me with your hardest stuff, but your double whammy isn't up to snuff. I'll set the record straight. You're simply out of date. You're only second rate. You think your cat's a meanie, but your tiger's tame. You've got a lot to learn about the Genie game. So far, your education, I reiterate, you're only second rate. Men cower at the power in my pinky. My thumb is number 1 on every list. But if you're not convinced that I'm invincible, put me to the test. I'd love to lay this rivalry to rest. And it goes on and on and on. And here's my problem with
Baron's frozen pizza that I'd be eating while watching that. Getting ready to play my Sega Genesis Aladdin game afterwards.
Here's the plot hole, right? Jafar in his genie form has only been out of the lamp for a total of like 10 minutes.
Right.
In the entirety, because he gets sucked into it at the end of Aladdin. Then he's in the, they put him in the desert. And this is right after he's gotten out of the lamp the first time. So he's making some bold claims.
Right. Because Genie's been a genie for thousands of years, right?
He goes 10,000 years and the lamp will give you such a cricket. So we have to assume that he's been a genie for more than 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So it's kind of like Jafar's version of You've Got a Friend in Me, because he keeps doing all of this magic to Genie and makes him like an old man. And oh Lord.
Yeah.
These are just the moments we come to. Now, that being said, I don't judge you one iota for your DVD collection. In fact, I'm a little jealous because you're going to have this awesome DVDs. Wall that's or your VHS tapes.
Yeah,
because you're going to look at this wall of media and it's going to bring you joy. And I think that's great. Good for you.
There's actually going to be an assortment of things. VHS will be in there. I spaced the shelves enough so the first bottom couple would be able to hold things that are the size of the clamshell VHS cassettes because a lot of the movies that I have are in that kind of a case. And so I made sure to make shelves that could fit those, but then I wanted shelves that were just like normal VHS DVD height so that I could make as much use of the space as possible on top of it. So I'm really excited. They're drying right now from the paint. And then once we're done recording, I'm going to go and actually put stuff on the wall.
Have you ever been cleaning and decluttering, or you're in the midst of a move and you've thrown something that later on it pains you that you got rid of it?
I mean, I've never been in the experiences that you've been in, but I'm trying to think. I mean, there are things that I'm missing right now that I'm worried I did throw and didn't mean to. There's like a box set of C.S. Lewis books that I used to have that I haven't been able to find forever, and I'm afraid I threw that at some point on accident. But I can't think of anything in particular. I remember there was one birthday, I think it was my 4th or 5th grade birthday. I got a bunch of really freaking awesome presents, and then we forgot them in a bag at the hotel. And I never got any of those back. And there were a bunch of like Sega Genesis games.
Wait a minute. Hold on. What? You had a party at a hotel and then you didn't get the gifts afterwards?
Like we forgot them there. And when like Dad went back to go get them, they were, gone because they were a bunch of fucking awesome toys.
Oh, my heart hurts for you a little bit on that one.
That was not fun. I was pretty bummed out. I remember specifically being like, God damn it. There was a Sega Genesis version of Spider-Man and the X-Men and Arcade's Revenge. Oh. I had just gotten, and I was so pumped to play that game.
Oh, Tucker.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I got over it. We got past it, but
when, so my mom for years and years and years, I was a very artistic person. And the one thing that she never got to do that she always had wanted to was she collected broken plates and glasses and just any of this, like, little chunks of metal, because she wanted to make this giant mosaic at one point. Loved the idea of a mosaic. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. And I lugged around this tub that got bigger and bigger and heavier for, I'm going to say, more than a decade. She was collecting all of this stuff.
Wow.
And nothing that meant anything to like me, right? So I look at it and I'm like, it's just a bunch of broken glass. You want more glass? Don't worry, I'll get you glass. But like they were broken plates, and I think maybe a plate, like it was the plates that we had down at our lake cabin. So maybe that, I think all of these shards meant something to her in some way, shape, or form. And so after my mom passed, I finally, like after a year, got rid of that thing and I just threw the whole bin. So it's been over 6 years now, and I am starting to feel this like weird regret. That like I should have held on to that and I should have done something, but it only gets me like every now and then. It's not like an everyday type of deal, but I'm definitely thinking I should have done something with the glass that would have been in my mom's honor. But sometimes it's one person's treasure is another person's like, oh my God, I've moved this enough.
Right. And there's going to be, no matter what, there's still such a thing as, having unrealistic expectations of how much you should be even expected to like carry around a bunch of shards of broken glass,
I also have a huge problem with throwing away technology.
Ooh, me too. I'm definitely a technology hoarder. And I don't even have nearly as much stuff as I used to have. But part of the VHS thing for me is I love older analog media tech because I was obsessed with it as a kid. And so just having that ability around is actually kind of important to me. But go ahead.
That's the thing with it, right? Is I have cell phone chargers to phones I don't own anymore. Or like an old flip phone, I'm never going to use that flip phone.
Right.
I don't even know if like most companies will even allow that.
Right.
And like I've got an army of USB cords that just are nuts. And so the things, and I don't think that I'm to the point of where I'm hoarding it yet, but it's close. I've got, here's a prime example. Firewire technology was the precursor to what USB like C is, I would say now.
Sure.
It was the idea that you could transfer huge amount of lossless data fast, and it was faster than the current USB version that they were trying to push on everybody. So the first iPod, for example, was a Firewire iPod. Now, I have that iPod, and the pins on it are the same for a USB charger, but for some reason, I'm holding on to the Firewire charger side of it as well. Now, ask me if I have a computer that has a Firewire port in it.
Do you have
Well, I'm putting that question out there for the listener, Tucker.
But I want to know.
Well, you want to know too. Okay, good question. Yes, I do. But here's the problem. That Mac computer that I have that has that, I no longer have the power supply to power up that computer. So I would have to go on eBay and buy the power supply for a computer that probably won't boot so that I can use the Firewire port to just power this iPod. Now, mind you, I could also just use a USB charger that I already have for it. But for some reason, I think, well, what if I need it?
Yeah.
Now, you could also say, well, if you need it, you just go to your original idea of going to eBay and finding it. Oh, that's right. That's right. But I'm worried about if I need it now and not in 5 to 10 business days.
Right.
So
I'm so attached to my old technologies because they provoke memories of me. But I did just throw away a bunch of old cables, old hard drives, old stuff in this move as well. Like, even though, and you saw it, I had a lot of stuff that was a lot less than I've ever had in the past. And it keeps whittling it down and down more. And I'm trying to do that more and more. And, but of course, then I get like VHS wall shelves. And then I'm like, well, I got to fill this up.
Right. Yeah. I've found that I am, we've talked about my office right now. So we're recording this in our respective homes. And I am staring right now at Lego Back to the Future DeLoreans, 4 different versions of the Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters, a John Candy like Jesus candle, a couple of Sesame Street piggy banks, some magnets that have the Scooby-Doo team on them, a Mr. Bean bobblehead. And these are all things that bring me joy. These are all things that inspire me. And I think to some extent, these are the things I didn't get when I was a kid. So my parents must not have been believers in toys for the most part. And it's really weird because I got to do some pretty amazing things when I was younger, and that was awesome. But I don't ever remember having toys and things that I was, the things I was excited about. I remember having... I remember one birthday I got bed sheets, and I was
your parents never gave you good presents.
No, I mean, they, to be honest, my parents were the type of people who would put like $40 into a card, right? And that was the thing. That was my birthday present, and I could go pick what I wanted. And I was the kid who did weird things like I went out and bought a bunch of like supplies to build a lemonade stand.
Gotcha.
That's what I wanted to do with it, right? Or I would buy a new wallet because I liked wallets. Or I remember one year all I wanted was a lab coat. I thought that would be really cool if I got a lab coat for my birthday. And I still think it'd be cool to get a lab coat, one that like fits really well. So,
just go to jeffbezos.com. They got plenty of lab coats.
Do they?
Oh, I'm sure.
So this was one of the coolest experiences I ever had for my birthday. My cousin Stacy, I don't know if she had a friend or if it was like a boyfriend or something, but they worked at the NDSU research lab. And so I got to go into the lab after everyone had like left for the day, and it was just like a mad scientist lab. So there's tons of beakers everywhere, and it had the glass tubes that are all like piggy tail squirrely around, and there wasn't anything happening in them because the lab was shut down for the night. But they also had all these test tubes that were probably about an inch tall, and they came down to a point and had a cap on it. So it's the type of stuff that you'd put like in a centrifuge and like twist around. And so he gave me a ton of those, and I kept those in a shoebox under my bed until I was like 17 years old. Because they were my actual science experiment things. And so going to this place, I still vividly remember what it was like going in there, and they couldn't turn all the lights on for some reason. So maybe it wasn't cool that this kid was there, but that was like the thrill of a lifetime when I was a young man, getting to go to this actual laboratory and see all this stuff happen. And now I know tons of people who work in laboratories on an everyday basis, like our frequent guest, Britta Nelson. Man alive, she works for a company that's doing groundbreaking work in using test tubes in the test tube era. And so I'm constantly amazed at all these neat things that still, as an adult, like if someone gave me a beaker set, I would love that. I don't know what I would do with it, but I feel like I need a Bunsen burner.
That's making me think of what my dad would always bring. He'd get random stuff from being a teacher at school. So there'd be like extra some kinds of supplies or something.
Your dad has always had a set of wrestling mats since I've known him.
And he's always had all this stuff. And I remember, like, if Brianna and I were bored, I mean, we had plenty of toys, but oftentimes he'd find something weird and give them to us. And he brought home one for each of us, these tall, clear kind of, they were glass beakers, like really super tall ones that just had some sort of measurement on the side. And Dad was like, here, guys, you guys can do science experiments, right? Thinking we would do imaginative play with the beakers. And what I ended up doing was I made a mixture of like everything that was in the fridge, plus like dirt and stuff from outside and like random pieces of food, thinking I was making a potion. And then I let it sit there, and it sat there for like 5 days. It's just rotting. My dad finally just had to like wait for me to go to school, and then threw it away. And I said, "Where's my experiment?" And he was like, "Oh, your experiment's done, I guess." So it's all done now because it was just rotting food. Milk and toothpaste and whatever else I could find to put in there.
I think that when I was a kid, we used to call them potions, but we would mix like all the shampoos together, and I thought that was like a pretty big deal. And now I've realized like it's not. No. It wasn't a potion of any kind. It was just a bunch of cleansers mixed together.
All you need is Kool-Aid.
You think so? Okay, let me ask you a question about Kool-Aid. Do you follow the instructions or do you go rogue?
It has been ages since I've even made Kool-Aid, so I don't have an answer to that.
Really? Even after the 2 Bears, 1 Cave episode, you didn't crave some Kool-Aid after that?
No, I wasn't really super into Kool-Aid after the 2 Bears, 1 Cave episode.
Oh, every time. So what we're referencing is an episode of the podcast 2 Bears, 1 Cave, where they're having a casual conversation, and at one point, which one is it who talks about?
It's Bert Kreischer's the one who's drinking Kool-Aid.
Goes, I just gotta have a little drink, and he takes off the lid on this good size jug, like, and takes
it's like a 64 ounce,
and he's like, Kool-Aid, and the discussion becomes, wait a minute, you're a grown man drinking that giant thing of Kool-Aid? And he's like, well, yeah, I try and drink 2 of these a day. And it becomes just, it's easily one of the most, what do I want to say, contagious laughter moments of my life, because they just completely lose it when suddenly they put out into the world, this grown man is drinking enough Kool-Aid to give him type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, and with Bert Kreischer, he's always saying, "Why can't I lose weight? I'm always fat. Why can't I lose weight?" And then you find out that he's crushing that much Kool-Aid a day, even though he's doing the low calorie Kool-Aid, and it's watered down. He says, but in his mind, he was hydrating.
I've watched that clip a dozen times, and I still like when I watch it, I'm like, I gotta get some Kool-Aid. That looks so good. I gotta get my Kool-Aid on.
If I was gonna go make some Kool-Aid though, right now, I'd probably do grape Kool-Aid, and then I would probably just start by going with the instructions.
Oh, let me tell you something. I don't know what the Kool-Aid Corporation thinks, but it's not nearly what you want for it. So Kool-Aid, invented in Nebraska, if I'm not mistaken. I think the original flavors were cherry, strawberry, lemon, lime, and grape. I think those were the original 5. And the idea behind it is great because like it was a product where so many juice companies, the most expensive part was shipping their juice across the country, right? So if you had a hot selling juice and you needed to get it from New York to Kansas, that costs a lot of money in shipping because you're shipping the full bottles of this juice everywhere. And so they came up with this like, well, what if we make a powder and then someone has to just go out to the well and get a couple of cups of water from the well, and then they can have a delightful, delicious, tasty drink. And I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of those little innovations we've come up with in the United States.
Yeah. I mean, now that you've talked me through it, I wouldn't mind Kool-Aid right now.
And you choose now. Are you're going grape? So, but to me, do they still call it Purplesaurus Rex?
If they did, that'd be better.
Yeah, because I know that's what they called it for a long time.
And I would want it with ice cubes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, if you're really smart and you had the time, you make ice cubes out of Purplesaurus Rex Kool-Aid, freeze that, and that way it's not watering down your Kool-Aid, because that's the problem. To me, they're like, 1 packet makes a gallon, and I'm like, no, 3 packets make a gallon, because I want a flavor explosion in my mouth.
So you do 3 full packets per 1 gallon.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. That's the recommendation.
Yeah. And if you're scooping it, it's until you like the taste. Like, take a couple sips. Don't use a wooden spoon because that's going to change the taste. You know, like, and don't sip it out of a paper cup either because that's going to change the taste as well. I am very serious about my Kool-Aid, kids.
This is not the time of year to be drinking Kool-Aid, though.
No, I mean, the time of this recording, it's November. And so but I do think like we all love beverage. America is obsessed with beverages.
Yeah.
We are beverage focused in a lot of the things that we do, whether it's a protein shake that you think is going to make you look buff like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or if it's a diet soda or a White Claw or whatever you're going to drink. That's the thing, is we are obsessed with beverages. And you know what? There is, like, when I've been in Europe, the big thing with beverages is if you get like water and you get it still or sparkling. I don't know why people are drinking carbonated straight up water. There's no flavor, and I even don't get carbonated water in general. I think it tastes like dirty water.
Yeah, I agree. I've never understood the carbonated water thing whatsoever. If it's carbonated, it should be soda, just flat out. And if you want water, just drink water.
Right. That's what I think all the time too. And I remember
I've been on a massive Pepsi kick lately. I've been crushing cans of Pepsi.
Really?
Lately.
Just straight up Pepsi, huh?
Just straight up. I mean, that's my poison. You know, if we're talking brand loyalty, that's where mine lies, because it like we've said before, it burns so good, right? It is the most acidic soda that's on the market. But like, to me, I'll turn to Pepsi in high stress situations as well, including, like, let's say I've got like a really difficult shoot going on or something for work. And I got so irrationally angry at the guy taking my order in the Taco Bell line the other day. And I didn't say this to him. I was able to hold it in, but I was passing by a Taco Bell. I needed a Pepsi. I just needed one. And I wanted a fountain Pepsi. Taco Bell, I can get that. So I pull through And I go, hey, man, I just want a Pepsi, just a large one. And he goes, oh, we're actually out of Pepsi right now. And I'd never heard this before. And I thought, oh, my God, what? So, but then I just thought, well, that's fine. You know what? Because my backup soda is always Dr. Pepper. I love me a Dr. Pepper. Or if they do Mr. Pibb, that's fine. But I said, okay, well, I'll just do a Dr. Pepper. And he goes, oh, we actually got rid of Dr. Pepper. And I said, what? And he goes, we do have cherry Pepsi. And JJ, I swear to you, I almost said, hey, fuck you to this guy when he offered me cherry Pepsi in place of Dr. Pepper or Pepsi. And I held it in because that's not appropriate. That's not what an adult should say. It wasn't his fault. He works there, right? There are other places I could go and get Pepsi, but I happen to be in the drive-through at Taco Bell. So I ended up getting Baja Blast.
I was going to say, one thing Taco Bell is known for is like 9 different versions of Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, you were a real adult in this situation. But I also, if you had told me like I completely and totally flipped out, I'd be like, I totally understand. And I back you 110%.
Yeah, I was fiending hard. It's just hard. And it wasn't this poor dude's fault. So I'm glad I didn't take it out on him. But boy, did I want to. In my head, I did.
Years ago, I was working, doing like commercial kitchen work. And they were building a brand new airport in Grand Forks, the Byron Dorgan airport that is there now. And it was a huge improvement on the old one. And one of the things they added was this little quick serve restaurant and bar. So they needed to build a new kitchen. That's where I come in. And there's nothing worse. Oh, my God, nothing worse than trying to get like a flat top griddle that can handle like 25 burgers at once, but trying to get that up stairways and around corners. And also when you unload a truck, so a semi truck comes and it's got all the brand new equipment and it's all stainless steel. And so it's stainless steel tables, it's stainless steel, appliances and flat pieces of stainless steel that you're going to glue to the wall because that is the most hygienic way to get your kitchen up and running, and it meets all these codes. But you unload it from the truck, and so you get it all outside. And what's great is it doesn't matter if it rains because it's stainless steel.
Right.
So if you have to unload it and get it out and it sits in the rain for a little bit, no big deal. Here is the big deal, though. When you get it out and it sits in the sun, it just absorbs heat like there's no tomorrow. And so I have scars on my arms from where I've touched a stainless steel table that's just been sitting out in the sun too long.
Yeah.
So the point of this story is I'm working on this airport construction and I'm working with a guy named Kevin. And Kevin had just recently moved back to Fargo because everything had gone wrong in Kevin's life. So Kevin had been living, I think, like in Montana, and he loved the mountains. But one day while he stopped to help someone with like a flat tire on the side of the road, his truck started on fire and his truck burned down and his truck had all his tools in it. And he had liability only. So he was unable to get, to go on with his living because he didn't have any of his tools. So he moves back to Fargo, and Kevin is probably like in his mid 50s. Moves back to Fargo, moves in with his parents. Now his dad has an amazing set of tools, but won't let Kevin use them because, as Kevin's dad put it, you lost all your tools in an accident. So why should I, trust you with my tools? To me, like, I only heard Kevin's side of these things, but I'm like, Kevin, sounds like your dad's kind of a dick.
Ouch, right.
But he was still like, Kevin, fix this plumbing and do. So anyway, it's a bad situation. I don't think that you want to move back in with your parents after you're, 50 years old. That one can be kind of tough unless you're taking care of them, unless you're a caregiver. So Kevin and I are there's it's a Simonson station, I think, that if you go up to the Grand Forks airport, you go a little bit out of town on Highway 2, but right before you get back to I-29, there's a filling station. I think it's a Simonson. So we would stop there because we were commuting back and forth from Fargo, and this was like a 2-week project. And every day he would get a giant fountain Pepsi and I would get a giant fountain Diet Coke, because this station is smart and has all of them on the fountain.
Right.
And I remember vividly one day Kevin turning to me and taking a big sip out of his Pepsi, and he goes, "My favorite part is the burn." And when you talk about the fact that you like the burn as well when you drink your Pepsi, it was pretty funny. He also told me about some song where the lyrics were like, "I like to ride my motorcycle. I like it better than eating a pickle." And I just remember like, okay, Kevin, sounds good. Great story.
As I've been working on the house, like the two things I've been eating routinely have been Pepsi and chips and salsa, which has just been great for my acid reflux disease.
Yeah, it sounds like you're having a happy hour diet.
Well, I burned through all the Pepsi I've got, so I'm not gonna like re-up on my Pepsi for right now. But I need to take a break from soda, man. Big time.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it's right around the time of holidays too. And I feel like I like to drink soda a lot when it comes to the holidays because I like the holiday cans.
Oh yeah.
Also, do you remember
and also hearing the as you crack the can?
Yeah. I actually, my problem right now is I've really gotten into these king size cans of Diet Coke. So they're 16-ounce cans of Diet Coke. And so they look like, like a big Coors Light, like a giant, like a pounder.
Yep.
And
I've got the Pepsi of those. Yeah.
So here's what's interesting about it. So the gas station, the nice gas station near my work, sells them for $1.89 a piece. But if I go to the scary looking car wash that's nearby, they sell them for $1.39 a piece, 50 cents less. And then I discover if I go all the way to the dollar store and wait in line and think to myself, I'm never fucking coming back here. I swear to God, this is the last time. There is no way. She's closing the lane. Are you kidding me? I've been here for 40 minutes. They sell it for only $1 a can, but they also smell like when I buy, and this is no shade to the dollar store because I do a lot of shopping there, but like
you're saying the soda is smelly there.
Well, for whatever reason, like the cans, like I have to wash the cans later. Like, I don't know if they sat somewhere and got like dusty and that dust took some of the smell in or whatever it is. And so the last time I went there, I bought 40 cans.
Damn.
And like the woman goes, "You must like Diet Coke, huh?" And I swear to God, Tucker, I looked her dead in the eye and I go, "What's Diet Coke?" And she didn't respond. And so next time, if I buy a bunch of Diet Coke, I'm also going to get one roll of masking tape. And so if they say, "You really like Diet Coke, huh?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I just didn't want you to see how much masking tape I was buying."
I'm surprised how often I get the question, "Do you have a cat?" when I'm buying cat food.
Oh, really?
Because, yeah, it's surprising. And usually what it is it's not someone who thinks, "Oh, you don't," and that this must be for you. But they're thinking, "Oh, I want to talk to this fellow cat lover." "Oh, do you have a cat?" "I have a cat too," is where they're kind of going with it. But it's when they see you're buying cat food. And I hate that because I just almost never want to actually talk when I'm buying groceries. I just don't want to. I'm like, I want to get in and get out of here and just, can we please hurry this up? And then I got to hear about their cat. They ask how many cats I have. I just hate it.
For reals, my wife is embarrassed to buy more than a 6-pack of toilet paper at a time.
Why?
Because I think her thought is the clerk's going to think, "Whoa, this lady poops a lot."
Yeah.
Because,
like everyone's only buying a month's supply at a time. So exactly how much they're getting tells you a lot about that month.
Well, and in all honesty, if I ever saw someone with like a Costco sized thing of toilet paper, my first thought would never be, "Boy, you certainly poop a lot." My first thought would be like, "You're a savvy shopper."
Yeah. Yeah.
more like
those
this.
are all hard costs, right?
If someone showed up and like, because you can buy rolls, like a single roll of toilet paper nowadays, right?
Yeah.
If someone bought that, I would be more concerned for that person.
Yeah.
To be like, what's going on in your life where you think that this is the maximum amount that I can have in my house at one time? Or number two, what's going on in your psyche where you're thinking, I'm not going to buy green bananas and I'm also not going to buy enough toilet paper just in case.
I think what it is for some people, it's I can afford this for right now until next paycheck.
Do you think so? Because even at the dollar store, you can buy like a 2-pack.
No, I mean, I think that's why people, what are those who are like, oh, I just need toilet paper just a little bit.
No, nobody needs toilet paper just a little bit. People need toilet paper every single time that they go poo.
Right.
And so some people, like, they even need it when they pee because they pee on the seat and they got to wipe it off. Or they're like, nope, I got to take care of all the business. Or you're a lady. There's a lot going on with this that people need for it. My God. I am so worried for people out there who are making decisions that are too, what's the word I want to say? They're shortchanging themselves. If you're not going at least a little bit decadent with your toilet paper, ooh, I feel bad for you.
I'm a little upset with the bathroom at my new place.
Oh, yeah?
I shouldn't say I'm upset with it. It's not the bathroom's fault. It's, the bathroom I had at my previous place was like 4 times the size of this bathroom. And just having all that space felt so nice. And this bathroom is so cramped up that I can't even have my squatty potty in there underneath the toilet the whole time.
Oh, God.
It has to be like in a weird place so that the door can be opened and closed first, and then you drag it into place. And that's annoying. I really am accustomed to having the squatty potty there.
Can I tell you, like, so like I said, my sister just moved into a new house. Her house has a full-size deep jetted tub. And that's not even the shower. That's just a luxury item. This giant vanity with a deep sink. There's a toilet in the bathroom, but the toilet has this like glass brick that goes up a ways. So if you're in, let's say, the bathtub, you couldn't see me in the toilet.
Oh, got it.
And then she's got a walk-in steam shower.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
I know. And I thought to myself, is my sister better than I am? Like, is she... Is she that much like more bankable as an employee? Is she that much more savvy when it comes to the ways of bathing? And I'm full on jealous. I'm just jealous of her bathroom setup.
That does sound fantastic.
Yeah.
The bathroom's the most important room in the house.
It really is. People don't realize how much time you spend in the bathroom. And I'm not saying that in a disgusting way. I'm saying that in like like when your baby is sick and you hold it up so that the steam can, the baby can breathe the steam because it's got the crew. When you're puking in the toilet because you had a rager. When you're in the bathtub and you're like singing, you sing My Fair Lady songs to yourself, or if, God forbid, if you ever have to clean up a murder scene, there's a lot of reasons you spend time in the bathroom beyond just regular bathroom activities.
Ever since the new Dune came out, I've referred to feeling like I have to go poop as sensing worm sign.
Okay, good move.
And then Shai Hulud is coming. So that's usually what I'm doing is sensing worm sign. Better use the bathroom.
So my wife and I have a disagreement about whether or not it's all right to have magazines in the bathroom. And I say it's all right. Because sometimes people need something to read and, sometimes people are just avoiding like being in your presence. And so they're in the bathroom. And so you can have that. And her thing is like, everyone's got a cell phone now. So you no longer need reading materials in there. And I'm like, you're not wrong, but you're also not right.
I think I'm going to have to side with Jill on this one.
Really?
Because I think your desire is more about a nostalgia for a time that is no longer here. where the thing that one needs is to have reading material by the toilet. And just think about how filthy those things become over time. Like it used to be, if I was in a bathroom and I saw a magazine, oh yeah, why not? Let's peruse this while I'm dropping one because I have nothing else to do. But now I would think, how long has this been here? How much has been going on around it? I'll just stick to my phone. Thank you. So I think it's probably a good idea to walk away from having printed materials by the pooper.
Now, let me tell you something. This is a truth. It's not that I want to have the nostalgia of it. It's that I would like to curate what you are consuming for a little bit. You are trapped, I know, and an engaged audience. And so if I'm like, have you read the comic strip Zits? It's worth your time. I'm going to make that available.
Can you do that as framed artwork on the wall?
No, because
why not?
No, because here's the thing. I would have to frame so much of it. It would be unacceptable.
Well, at least everything would be under glass. And then you could swap things out once a month and clean them really easy.
Okay, I'm also not running an off-the-wall advertising type situation here where I'm like, you know what? I'm also going to tell people about the 2-for-1s going on at Wild Bill's after this as well, too. I'll make some money. Have
you seen how they do that with coupons in the bathroom at the Fargo Menards?
No.
They just tape up a bunch of coupons that you could just grab off the wall if you want over the urinals in the West Fargo Menards.
So
there was a dude who was like walking from urinal to urinal checking out the things he wanted to take off, and that was so grossed out.
Like, and he's wondering, like, are you going to be done soon? So I really want to look at that air compressor.
Yeah, that air fryer looks great, but this guy is really going.
The best like bathroom I've ever been in that did advertising right was they had a bathroom attendant who would switch over these like screens. So this is in Las Vegas. And so you'd walk in there, and the second you step up to the urinal, he would start, like, he'd hit play on yours, and it would be like, like, hello and welcome to the Win. We're so glad you're here. Did you know we've got a calamari buffet that starts at 10 p.m. every single night? And that if you're lucky, Sir Tom Jones himself might actually be chowing down on some shrimp. And I was like, it's amazing because, like, I didn't trigger something when I walked up there. And the second that I was done, it shut off, and I walked up to the sink, and I start washing my hands, and the guy goes, it really is a good calamari buffet. And I was like, oh my God, they got a personal touch to this as well. And guess what I did? I fucking went to that calamari buffet. I can tell you that much.
Calamari buffet would punish right about now.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. That'd be so good.
I never have like fast food tacos. Never. It's a rarity for me. And I had them yesterday, and I really regretted it.
Which place? Taco Bell?
At Taco Bell. And I think it's because they left. I didn't feel good afterwards. Like, I didn't feel like satisfied. I felt full, but in a bad way.
Yeah. Taco Bell sells an idea that hey, maybe this is a good idea, but it's not.
The thing that drove me the most crazy is I had been waiting in the drive-through line long enough that I started the stopwatch on my phone just to see how much longer it was going to take.
Yeah.
And like at that point, like, started moving through. They must have had a shift change going on, because then they started moving cars through really quick. So, or they just turned off the system. They're like, hey, everyone, we're going on a 20-minute break. Just hold your horses. Just wait. Yeah.
McDonald's is doing a ton of testing of automated fast food restaurants in Japan.
So, I
could see that being a thing that happens at some point here.
McDonald's tested out a new technology. So they started a new company called McD Labs. And this company this laboratory bought out a smaller company that was doing a lot of like AI script work. And so what they want to know was, could artificial intelligence take my order when I drive up to a drive-through? And so they had these pre-recorded phrases and things like that, like, "Hi, welcome to McDonald's. How can I help you?" And it would have all these things, and it could respond to questions based off of things on the menu. And it had 85% accuracy.
Yeah,
When tested against a human being had like 71% accuracy.
Yep, not surprised.
Because what a person hears, processes into their brain, and then hits on a computer, there's actually a huge margin for error between those synapses. So, because like in my mind, if I'm thinking like, it's a great day for being alive and I really love that muffin I ate, and someone's like, could I please get a large frappe? And I hit the word muffin because I'm thinking about the muffin that I had that was so good instead of the frappe. Plus, they said, so consumer confidence went up and down when McDonald's added their preview screens. Okay. Because now I can look at it and they ask, like, is everything on the screen correct? And I can actually go over someone's work.
Yeah.
So this thing is 85% correct. Now, also, there's a company that advertises on I get a prep sheet every day for work. So essentially these are like, 20 national stories, and here's some talking points. And it's just sort of like someone collected a bunch of interesting stuff from across the country, and it's brought to me, and then they sell advertising in this thing. So one of them is, you can get in on the ground floor for Flippy, which is a company that's built this robotic arm that can do the work of like 10 people in a fast food restaurant. So Flippy knows the temperature of the grill. So the temperature of the grill feeds into a computer, and Flippy has one part of its arm that can flip a burger. So a burger will always be flipped at the exact moment it should, based on the temperature of the meat when it hits the griddle and the temperature of the griddle itself. It can also, when the ding goes off and fries are done, turn and take the fry basket off. It can also wrap the burger up. So essentially, it'll do the job of what we've expected fast food workers to do. And a lot of people, for the last couple of years, while this thing's been developed, while Flippy's been worked on, said like, well, they're trying to take our jobs. They're trying to automate and get rid of us. But in a world where we can't seem to get employees to work all these shifts, I mean, for example, the Taco Bell near my house, I think, is closed on Tuesdays because they just can't find anyone to work. I think that an AI order taking system, and then Flippy, the grill cook, that's a great idea. If I was a restaurant owner, it would be a brilliant idea.
It seems to me like one of those things that is purely inevitable. That it doesn't matter if it's going to happen now or 5 years from now or 10 years from now, that it's going to happen at some point, right? For certain types of food service, if not all food service on some level, because if you're talking about repetitive, identical tasks, I mean, that's exactly what a robot is great at doing.
I think that robots are our friends.
And it's not like the food coming out of McDonald's had like the loving touch of humans to it, right? I mean, they're basically trying to be as automated as they can with just people. So they're really just taking a further step down the line of what they've been aiming for anyways.
Good point. I think when it comes down to it, there are jobs that like we clearly should just turn over to robots because we want efficiency. Like when you are slowed down at a fast food restaurant because the team isn't gelling and getting you your order fast enough, and you become frustrated that you waited in a line for more than 5 minutes. Oh boy, we need to be better human beings, because if you're so hungry that you can't wait 5 minutes to get through, you should have packed a sandwich before you went to work, man. That's just the way it is.
Think about this, like a robot's not going to spit in your food.
Well, it might oil in our food.
Yeah,
See, my worry
so.
is that they'll make too many burgers, and then McDonald's will be like, they're making too many burgers. Who's going to eat all these burgers? And then I'll walk through the door and be like, I think someone called my name. I'm here to eat all the burgers.
Wasn't the McRib just back for a little bit? Is it still back?
It's back for a limited time only.
I think I'm going to eat one again.
Yeah?
I think I'm going to.
Do you want to eat it on JJ Meets World?
I don't think anyone's really asking for that content, but I mean, okay.
I want you to eat a McRib, and I want you, while you're chewing it, to read the Constitution.
Okay.
Because it doesn't get more American than that.
Than eating whatever it is that makes up the McRib patty.
Here's the thing. The McRib is an anomaly because they press the they press the separated pork shavings to look like there's bones in it, right? Like that it's ribs on a bone. We don't do that with anything else. When I eat a pound of hamburger, it doesn't come pressed to look like a cow.
Right. This is sort of like another version of just, oh, look, your French fries are in the shape of stars.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, at least at Burger King, they used to make the chicken nuggets look like dinosaurs, right? Like that was awesome.
Yeah.
I miss that.
I want there to be a Gold Star chili up here.
Yeah, you do. And for those who don't know, Cincinnati style chili is chili served over spaghetti.
I got so jealous of all those cans you had. I think I'm gonna have to put it in order for some.
Yeah,
to get some up. I mean, I've got the powder mix, but it takes a bunch of extra steps, and it never quite comes out in the same way it is in the restaurant, which is the cans are able to do real well.
Yeah, I mean, the can is 80% there to the restaurant, right?
Right.
And then going to the restaurant is just worth. In fact, somebody called into my day job the other day and he goes, "Yeah, you know a lot about food, but I bet you've never had Cincinnati style chili." And I'm like, "I'm a three-way guy," and it shut that guy up immediately.
Yeah.
And to anyone else who's listening to the radio at that exact moment, they're probably like, "Oh God, we just got to know more about JJ than we ever wanted to know."
I just love the idea that someone is like, "I'm gonna fucking tell this JJ guy that he doesn't know shit.
That guy doesn't know
food.
anything about being east of the Mississippi."
Did you feel like Homer in the cowboy boots at like the chili fair?
Yeah,
showing up being.
That's the man with the iron stomach. Like when he takes Flanders down and he's like, 1, 2, this is only 2 alarm chili. And then I think it's Rod goes, "Are you going to have to go to jail, Dad?" He goes, "We'll see, son. We'll see." On that note, we talked a lot about food and fast food in this episode. So I hope everyone's hungry and they can go and enjoy themselves. And remember, if it doesn't come out right away, you know, a robot's going to take their job, so don't worry about it. We'll get it all figured out in 2022. Peace. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. I bought Return of Jafar on VHS tape from a Sun Mart that used to be a Piggly Wiggly, where I also am pretty sure I saw a UFO when I was young.